So I'll send you pictures of your layout. I take pictures because I think it's fun to see.
Okay.
Because it's like you're there, you don't get to see like all the crystals that are on you.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, I should have recorded it. But
You
it's
can
awesome.
you can start here and scroll, and you'll see some of the like pictures of like what it was on you and stuff.
Interesting.
So I checked your chakras. I pretty much assumed it would be this way, but they were all closed, not flowing. So that's pretty standard, especially with like stress and all things that go on. Your chakras will kind of close down to offer protection. If you've been sick, if you have any, anything, your chakras will just kind of like close down so you don't take on too much. Um, and then they were showing me it was almost like this brown foamy layer around you. It almost just looked like dirty, the top of like dirty muck or dirty water, like when you're, if you really scrub something, dishes in the sink or something really dirty, and the bubbles are kind of brown on top, and it's like you've been cleaning out. It just felt like scum or muck, and it was just, and it could be your body trying to filter out some things, but it was just kind of like a little layer around you. So we cleared all that off and got that right away, started clearing that and shifting the energy. And then I did the layout and started kind of shifting frequencies. I had to use a little rattle to kind of break up some energy on you. And then I opened up all the chakras and got them just open. And they opened up, pretty easily. So that was working with it. And then after I open up the chakras, I go back in and I see what else is in there that can be pulled out. Like if there's something that's presenting that is like something a little bit more deep, sometimes it can pull out things from this life, from past life. It could be different stuff. So when I went into your crown chakra, which is your connection to spirit, all these bats started flying out. Bats. And I was like, hundreds of bats just all flying out. And when they finally all completely came out, they had come together as one big bat. And they were all these little bats that like they were clustered together, and they made like one big bat. And then spirit took that away and will transform the energy. And so then I was like, what's with the bats? So I started looking up I was like, okay, nocturnal, kind of maybe navigating some dark, like the dark spaces inside yourself, that kind of made sense. And then I was like, I took my phone, it was like spiritual meanings of bats, just to see. And they were saying navigating through darkness or uncertainty and transformation. Mm-hmm. So it was like you needed to release that part where you've been kind of navigating maybe some disconnecting parts of yourself. And so it's like, okay, you can like let that go. So we cleared all of that out until your crown was just nice and big and beautiful and just shining light. And then they stopped everything and they were showing me you had this huge granite, like almost like an egg shell around you. Mm-hmm. And it was that some of that protection you had put up. But I mean, it was about that thick around you, just this huge granite like ball that was around you. And they were working on that. So they were showing me like them pulling out this huge piece from your backside, like sliding, and you almost like slid off onto the table. And when they showed me, your whole body twitched. And I was like, oh, that was perfect timing. And so they were getting rid of all this kind of heavy protection that you were like putting around yourself. And just kind of like that shell was cracked and the pieces were coming off, but it was thick and dense and heavy. So I was like, okay, they're working through that. So then I went down to your third eye and it's like, okay, I'll still clear from here while they're working on those pieces. And they had removed a bunch of it and they were kind of like finishing it up. And when I got down to your third eye, which is like your spiritual eye and how you see things, the rose-colored lenses that we look through our perceptions, when I opened it up and looked inside, it was there was like a filing cabinet in the back, tons of newspaper, and it was like newspaper over the window, and like little bits of it were torn back where you could see through. So it was like distorting your vision. And there was all this information written on like little jibs of paper and scraps of paper in there, and everything was just kind of like tucked into every like little crevice in there. It looked like just a very messy office. And it was all the information that you receive, and it's like you have such an amazing memory. You can really, you're really smart, but it was just too chaotic, and it was distorting how you see things, and it's trying to see through the information instead of having clear vision and having the information recall. It was like almost like you're using all these little pieces of information or news stories to filter through how you perceive things. So we was like, okay, we can clear all this out. This is just like hoarding information. It was just too much clutter in there. So you were ready to release it. So we cleared and we cleared and we cleared. And um, and when I started clearing there, my whole left side started to shake. Just my hand, everything was just like shaking. It was like the energy was like so, like it was ready to let go. So I was like, oh, okay, so let's clear. We're doing the right thing here. So we got it until it was just this big, beautiful violet light coming out. I put, I call my mom and I call them Jesus bombs, where you just kind of put like this gold ball of light, and it just kind of helps to clear out anything. And so got it all nice and clear, shining bright, just like it should be. And then the hardest chakra to balance out on you was your throat chakra. It didn't really want to open and took a little massaging to get it to balance out. And so then when I went into your throat chakra to see what was deeper in there, they were saying calcification, but it was this big like black tourmaline looking stone. And I mean, it was probably about like that and about that wide in diameter, and it was just stuck in there, and it was just protruding out of you. And it released real easy. You were ready to release that. I pulled it out, and it just was like all the like kind of trapped words, things that maybe you want to say, but it's like, no, I don't want to. That might start an issue at work, or this could be that, or it's not worth the effort to go through the argument, so I'm just going to hold this. And you try to like really not, I mean, you're such a loving, kind person, you don't want to hurt anybody too, but sometimes it's just, and a lot of trap like emotion in there where like you kind of get upset, but you kind of bite your tongue, is that's what it kind of felt like. So just a lot of just repression, it felt, and it kind of calcified together and represented as the stone. So we pulled it out, cleaned everything out, and then it was just nice and big and blue light coming out just like it's supposed to, and shining, and it felt so much lighter. It felt great. And then I started to feel like, oh wait, hon, there's more, because it was like I felt stuff attached to your shoulders. And then they showed me that you had this metal, and it came over the shoulders, and it came down to like a breastplate, and then it went right down over all your other chakras. And it was another layer of protection like that granite. And so that needed to come off. So Jesus came in and he removed it, and he was taking it out and decording everything to that and helping to remove that layer of protection. It was like just a lot of walls and stuff that we put up. So it was time to release that and time to lay that down. So he came in and started taking that away. And then I went down to your heart chakra, and when I looked inside there was this like version of yourself in there, and she was probably in her 20s, vibrant, high energy, beautiful. She just looked like somebody you just want to hang out with. She was just had great energy, but she was kind of like chained down, like she couldn't get to the top, and you kept pulling her down, like, you stay down in there. That's that part of myself that, but you stay down there. And so we pulled her out, we unchained her, pulled her out, and there were all these like white ties that were just kind of holding her down into the depths of you, like not letting this vibrant still existing part of yourself kind of come out. It was like that existed at this time, but you were kind of like almost protecting her or not feeling as connected with that part of yourself. So you're just like, you stay down there. I don't want you to come to the surface now. And so we took out all the kind of the white chains and ropes that were kind of keeping her suppressed towards the bottom of your chakra, and almost like a container, like a cage or something that was there. And we took out all the stuff, and we pulled her out, and Jesus has her to the side, and we clean out all the rest of the stuff that was just, and it was like all those white ropes kind of that we talked about in the beginning. I was like, oh, that's where those were coming from. And so we took all of those out and released everything and cleaned it all out. And then Jesus cleaned up this version of yourself, energized her. She's so vibrant. And then he laid her back down at the surface of your heart and brought her back to the surface. And it almost like overlaid your whole body. And it was just like she needed to go back in there. Sometimes you release your inner child and you can send it to the light. She had to go back in. She has, a need and a purpose now. So the frequency was so amazing. And then as we did that, all the angels, I just saw all the hands, everybody put in a hand over your heart, and I put my hand on your heart, and everybody combined the energy and just sent all this love in there. And it was this beautiful frequency that just really opened up everything. And it felt like that deep sigh feeling, like when everything's finally okay and you get that big sigh. And it was like, oh, okay, that feels so good. So it felt complete. And he laid her over and returned her, and I was saying, to her joy and to that glory that she has, that inner you has, that you have. So then that felt really good, and your chakra was shining so bright and this beautiful green. It was just fabulous. And then I went down to your solar plexus, and that's like the seat of your power, your willpower, and all of that. And it was just this ginormous boulder right over it, and it almost looked like desert sand around it, and just this big boulder right there, just blocking stuff. I was like, you're real into rocks today. So we can work with that. So then I called on my giant. I said, all right, we have this giant that comes in and helps with the heavy lifting. I said, this one's for you. And he came in, and like one of those bodybuilder guys that lift those big rocks, he came in and lifted that thing up, and he rolled it down the hill of sand. And as it rolled down, it just got smaller and smaller and smaller until it went off into the white light. So I was like, okay. So we cleared out that, whatever that boulder was. It wasn't giving me what it represented, but just the energy that was blocking your flow and blocking your power center. But it felt like the boulder was containing some things, but it wasn't necessarily meant for me to understand what was inside it. So we just let that go and cleared out everything else until it was just this beautiful yellow coming out, and the chakra just felt so strong after that. And then I went down to your sacral, which is the seat of your emotions, and it was impacted. When I looked inside there, it looked like a storage unit from Hoarders that you couldn't even get the tiniest little bit out of. It was like you almost needed a chisel to go in there and break the stuff out. It was just all the emotions over your lifetime, struggles, everything. Just, I'm going to put that in here, and there's just impacted all this old stuff, which is kind of impacted in there. And feeling upset about this, pack it in there. I'm not sure about this, pack it right in there. And it just was so dense. And so we started trying to clean it out, and we're getting little bits out. And then Master Saint Germain, he has a violet flame that he comes in with. And you can look him up and look up about the violet flame. So it doesn't burn you, but it burns up anything that is not serving you. And he came in and burned up all the stuff in there. And it started to make space where we could pull things out. And then Jesus came over. I was like, Jesus, we need your help on this one. This is just so impacted. And he took the chakra completely off your body. And he turned it upside down and shook it. and everything came out almost like a can of refried beans. You know,
Oh,
it just
yeah.
like plops out.
Yeah.
It was like that. It just went, and I was like, oh, and I felt so light, like, oh my god, that just felt like a huge thing just came out. It just felt so like if you just set down a huge heavy weight, or it just felt so relieving. It felt like there you could finally breathe a little bit. And then he took the chakra while it was still off your body, and he just kind of like re-energized it, reformed it, and then he put it right back on your body where it needed to go. But it was like renewed. It was so much better to do it that way, and it just everything was just flowing, and it felt so much lighter. So it was, and then we kind of kept a little flame in there, the violet flame, to kind of help just anything that you might want to pack up in there. So we just kept a little flame in there that it can kind of help to keep things flowing.
Okay.
It was just such a stopping point. It was just keeping the energy from flowing. So got that to all come out. It was all nice and clear. And then your root chakra was very simple. When I went inside there, it was a car battery and jumper cables. And this is like your connection to earth, the seat of your sexuality. So it felt like it was kind of dead and dark in there, and you had this jumper cable and a battery where you're like, all right, I'm going to jump this to get what I need to get done, and then all right, you can go back to not feeling anything, where it was just kind of like dead. So we cleared all that out and revived it, so it's flowing. It's got beautiful light, vibrant in there. Re-energized it, sent lots of energy into that root chakra, so it felt like you were so much more connected. And then we worked on your grounding cord to help ground you to the earth, get everything all connected. And then I just flowed so much energy from the top of your head down through your body till everything was just coming out. Like anything that didn't need to be in there could just flow out through the bottom of your feet. And I just kept sending energy until the white light came out white on the other end. So it just cleaning. So we cleaned out all the flow of energy through your meridians. Everything came out. And then it just felt so much lighter. And it feels like you're going to be continuing to release. It feels like there were floors to everything, where it was like, okay, this is as far as you could go today, but I could tell there's another level right here that it's almost ready to release, but it would have been too much at one time. It had been very energetically overwhelming, where it could like fry you out. Okay. But this was a massive release. The amount of stuff that you just let fall off of you today was like, you deserve a round of applause, because you worked with everything, all the energy, and you were ready to release. So we let all of that go. It felt just very healing. I did use some specific oils. Idaho blue spruce really resonated with your energy. The clary sage felt good, and that one's really good for hormones too, balancing hormones. And then I used a blend from Young Living called Release, and that I think the Idaho blue spruce, the clary sage, and I used one called White Angelica. Those three harmonized with you really, really well. So I liked how they kind of worked with your energy, and I could feel shifts right away with them in you. And then you got the gifts of the feather, the peacock feather, and then the crystal. It was probably about like that high, but about kind of the same as the heart. It was about that big around, but at the bottom it was like, if this was the crystal, it had all these like little quartz crystals around the bottom of it, so it almost made like a little crown or tiara kind of thing around it. And you can connect with that and get downloads of information, or let it help you guide you in however you want to move forward in anything in your life. And then we sealed you with the wrap. So it was a doozy. You're going to need to drink a lot of water.
Okay.
Yeah. It'll be flushing. Okay. You'll be like purging I wouldn't even be surprised if you had some like bathroom releases where things are processing on a physical level too.
Okay.
So if anything like that comes up, I would feel like that is completely normal and natural for the amount of stuff that you released today, because we worked on the physical, because it works on the 4 levels: physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional. So we hit all 4 levels, really did a lot of combing work, and had to do it on all the levels. Like, it wasn't, sometimes I'll get a client, it's just like, oh, this one's more on the physical. Oh, they got just their emotional body. I got to really clean off that. All your energetic bodies had to be combed out. So a lot of combing. So you should feel a lot lighter.
Okay. Very good. Well, I did tell you I felt lighter when I got off.
Yeah.
So,
And that'll just continue. But today's the day to be gentle with yourself. Don't go start any big project tonight. This is the day to cuddle and watch a happy movie. It's not the day to start Schindler's List or something.
Okay.
Lighthearted, sitting outside, and making sure that you get your bare feet in the grass. That's a good thing for you. And then just gentle foods, just kind of like after you have a big massage and your body's kind of like processing all of that, you kind of, same thing. So you're just gonna lots of water, you're gonna be flushing out things,
Okay.
and then you're gonna be continuing to release for probably 1 to 2 weeks.
Okay. Great.
Yeah. So if anything comes up where you're like, oh, I haven't thought of this in a long time, it's like, oh, okay, I'm probably releasing this. It can bring up certain memories or emotions, so you can just, oh, this is coming up, and you just breathe through and just help to release it out. I feel like that could kind of happen for you.
Okay.
So just know that it's a process of release, and as things come up, it'll be like, oh, this is coming up because I'm releasing a lot right now.
Okay.
So you can just have that in the back of your mind, But it felt very energizing. It felt like a great, discharge of crud.
We gotta start somewhere, right?
Exactly.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much.
You're so
I feel like
welcome.
I've been here forever.
Oh, I know. Well, it takes a
How
little.
much time